All right, let's dive right in, shall we? Today we're tackling Great Expectations, specifically Pip.
Oh, Dickens' classic.
You guys sent in an excerpt right from chapter 1, and I have to say, it's really something.
It's a powerful opening, for sure.
Yeah, so what's our mission with this deep dive? What are we hoping to uncover?
Well, we want to see how Dickens sets the stage. Introduces us to Pip, and his world.
Right, and I think we can go even deeper than that, right? I mean, even for those who think they know the story inside and out.
Oh, absolutely. There are always layers to uncover with Dickens, even in just these first few pages.
I'm excited to dig in. So, first impressions. When you read this excerpt, what jumps out at you?
The atmosphere. It's so thick you can practically taste it, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's heavy. Bleak, even.
Exactly. Dickens wastes no time. He plunges us right into this desolate landscape. The marshes, the graveyard, the sense of isolation. It's all there.
And it's not just background, right? This setting, it seeps into Pip's very being.
Oh, absolutely. It shapes his worldview, his understanding of the world, and it foreshadows some of the darker elements that come later as Pip tries to, climb that social ladder.
So we've got this oppressive atmosphere, and then bam! This terrifying convict appears out of nowhere, soaked in water, covered in mud.
Yeah, and Dickens doesn't hold back on the imagery either. Teeth chattering, desperate, almost animalistic.
And Pip, he's just a kid.
Exactly. A small, frightened boy, completely dwarfed by this vast, unforgiving landscape and this, menacing figure. It instantly establishes that power dynamic.
And then there's the name Pip. It's so diminutive, isn't it?
Right. It's a childish shortening of Philip, almost like he's being stripped of any real identity.
He's literally a Pip, a tiny seed in this huge world.
Yeah.
But then there's this odd detail, the fat cheeks. It's almost jarring against the poverty and harshness that surrounds him.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Like a little glimmer of something different. It could be Dickens foreshadowing a change in Pip's circumstances, maybe a hint that he'll escape this poverty and find comfort.
Almost like a promise of abundance, but at what cost, right?
Exactly. Dickens often uses physical descriptions to, suggest a character's destiny. But it also raises questions. Will Pip lose himself in the pursuit of, betterment?
Yeah, and that's where this encounter with the convict really gets under your skin. The way Dickens describes the convict's threats, that chilling story about the young man who's going to, quote, softly creep and tear Pip open.
Brilliant psychological manipulation, right? Preying on Pip's innocence, using fear and graphic imagery to get what he wants.
Totally. This encounter, I think, is a defining moment for Pip. It leaves a mark, shapes his fears, maybe even his ambitions, in a way. So what else does this first chapter tell us about Pip? Aside from the obvious that he's, terrified.
He's obedient, eager to please. He agrees to the convict's demands immediately, no questions asked, just wants to avoid any harm.
He's just trying to survive.
Right. And there's this innocence about him. He believes the convict's story about the young man, but there's also resourcefulness, a spark of it, as he figures out how to get the file and the food. It's like even in fear, he's problem solving.
He's complex, a mix of vulnerability and resilience even at such a young age.
And that complexity, it's what makes Pip such a compelling character.
And I think that complexity only grows as Pip, grows up, right?
Absolutely. This encounter in the graveyard, it's a catalyst. It plants seeds of fear, ambition, a longing for something more. And as Pip navigates his, quote, great expectations, those seeds start to sprout.
So Dickens, in a way, is giving us a glimpse into the man Pip will become, all within the first chapter.
Precisely. And it's through those early experiences that we can begin to understand the complexities of Pip's journey. It's a journey of, self-discovery, ambition, and maybe even redemption. It's what makes Dickens, Dickens, right? He plants these little seeds, like those fat cheeks, seemingly insignificant, but they tie into something bigger.
It's like they represent more than just, plumpness. It's like a symbol. Pip's potential for a better life, maybe, but also the potential pitfalls that come with ambition, with social climbing.
Right, and remember when the convict says, what fat cheeks you had got. It's almost prophetic, foreshadowing the abundance, the good things that await Pip, but also hinting at the price he might pay.
It's kind of unsettling. Even though we know Pip's life does change, becomes more comfortable, there's always this underlying unease, like we're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Exactly. And Dickens doesn't shy away from showing us the consequences of Pip's desires, his ambition, his relationship with Miss Havisham.
Oh, Miss Havisham.
Right. And then there's Estella and the whole mystery surrounding his benefactor. It's a wild ride. Every twist and turn adds another layer to Pip. He's forced to confront his flaws, make tough choices.
And we see how social mobility, that whole thing, played out in Victorian England. Pip's not alone, right?
Right.
Wanting to be a gentleman. It's not just personal ambition. It's like societal obsession, class status.
Absolutely. He becomes almost a representation of that struggle, the forces at play in society as a whole.
It's like he's stuck between two worlds. His humble beginnings, Joe, the forge.
Right.
And then this world of wealth and privilege that he wants so badly to be a part of.
That tension is something I think a lot of people can relate to, even today. We've all felt that pressure to fit in, to be seen a certain way.
Absolutely. And Dickens captures that perfectly. Pip's ashamed of where he comes from. It drives his decisions, especially in London.
It's like he's trying to outrun his past. The ghost of that convict, maybe, erase his humble beginnings.
And it leads him to do some pretty awful things, especially to Joe.
Heartbreaking, really. He's so focused on becoming better that he forgets the people who truly love him, accept him for who he is.
A classic cautionary tale, isn't it? Ambition without, compassion. Humility.
It's a reminder that in chasing, betterment, we can lose sight of what truly matters. Connection, genuine support, those simple joys.
And it all goes back to that first chapter. Dickens laid the groundwork with the marshes, the convict, those fat cheeks. They foreshadow all the challenges, the transformations that Pip goes through.
It's all connected. As he navigates those great expectations, those early experiences, they shape him, they haunt him, lead him to a pretty profound realization, I think, about what happiness really is.
It's incredible, really, how much Dickens packs into that first chapter. It's like a blueprint for Pip's entire journey.
Yeah, and as we've been talking about, it really shows us, I think, how Dickens is presenting Pip right from the start, setting up those core elements that'll shape his development throughout the whole novel.
Absolutely. And, it really is a testament to Dickens' skill as a writer. He gives us these seemingly small details, like those fat cheeks, or even just calling him Pip rather than Philip. And then those details, they take on so much more significance as the story unfolds.
Right, yeah. It's like he's inviting us to look deeper, to connect the dots. There's always something more to discover.
It really does make you want to go back and reread the whole thing with fresh eyes, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, totally. That's what I love about Dickens. You can always find something new, some hidden meaning, or some subtle detail you missed before that it changes your whole understanding of the story.
And so, as we wrap up our deep dive into Pip's world, I'm curious, what stands out to you most about his journey? What resonates most strongly?
For me, it's got to be Pip's realization, right? That true happiness, it's not about wealth or social status, but it's about connection, self-acceptance. It's a hard lesson, and he goes through a lot of pain to get there, but it's powerful, and I think it resonates with people even today.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Like your own great expectations, like what are we all chasing after? Is it really going to bring us fulfillment?
Yeah, it's an important question to ask. I think Pip's journey really encourages us all to look at our own values, how we define success, and think, are we chasing external validation or are we looking for deeper meaning, deeper connections?
And speaking of those deeper connections, I can't help but wonder, could Pip have avoided, some of the negative consequences of his ambition? Could he have strived for more while still appreciating what he already had? Joe, Biddy, that simple life.
That's a fascinating question. Maybe if he had stayed more grounded, more connected to his roots, things might have been different. But then again, would he have grown as much? Would he have reached that same level of self-awareness without going through those struggles, making those mistakes? It's hard to say.
I guess sometimes you have to get lost to really find yourself, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what Dickens is getting at. The path to self-discovery, it's not always a straight line, and even our mistakes, they can teach us, lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and what really matters.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of Great Expectations, right? It stays with you long after you finish reading it, makes you think, reflect, helps you understand, I think, what it means to be human a little better.
Exactly. It challenges us to look at our own lives, our ambitions, our relationships, where we fit in the world, all of it.
So to all our listeners out there, I encourage you to revisit Great Expectations and really explore Pip's journey, for yourself. Pay attention to those details, those moments of foreshadowing, and see what you discover. You might be surprised at what you find and how it connects to your own life, really. That's all for this deep dive, folks. Until next time, happy reading.